Part 76. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 752. Since Kyoto monitors zombie movements at 8 o'clock this morning, Kyoto has sent satellite images every half an hour. The results show that the number of zombies in the central area of the city is constantly decreasing, and the magnitude is not small, Lele said solemnly. Everyone was terrified. Satellite images can detect changes in the number of zombies, so how many zombies will be reduced? Those reduced zombies were killed by other zombies. Red Fox suddenly said, with fear in his tone. The rest were as silent as cicadas. Their thoughts are the same as those of Red Fox. It's very smart and wants to delay time, Lele said while looking at the laptop screen. In this case, it is better to act sooner rather than later, Len Ning said. Boss, give me the order. Blue Snake, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke. Everyone looked at Lele. Thunder's eyes swept over everyone's faces one by one. Each division will allocate 300 elite men, and the remaining ones, along with the remaining survivors in City B, will all evacuate City C. Everyone was shocked. 300 people per division? The 6 divisions combined only have 1,800 people. What can such a small number of people do? Let the Air Force pilots be on standby around the clock, ready to respond to combatants at any time. Lele ignored everyone and continued. Len Ning's eyes moved slightly. I will borrow dozens of helicopters from Kyoto. If there is an emergency, we can retreat at any time. Retreat? The boss didn't want to fight to the death with the zombie wave? There are too many high-level zombies in the zombie wave in the city. It would be very risky to fight them head-on, Len Ning said. If they were beaten hard, more than 50 people would definitely die, maybe 500 or even 5,000. It is important to eliminate the zombie wave, but it is even more important to preserve your strength. The battlefield is in City B, and they have air power. Big Brother's arrangement is very reasonable. Everyone quickly understood. According to the news in Kyoto, there are about 600,000 zombies in the city. The number will be more than 300 times the number of people participating in the war. As soon as Lele said this, everyone's expressions became strange. There are 1,800 people. Judging from the scale, a drop of spit from each person would drown them all. But the number of zombies is decreasing on its own. While zombies become stronger by devouring similar crystal nuclei, they are also reducing the number of their groups. If they take action, the zombies will decrease even faster. Everyone, look at me, and I'll look at you. This seems to be, that's indeed what happened. After all the survivors are evacuated from City B will completely become a battlefield. Lele put his hands on the conference table, a battlefield where no one will live for at least several decades in the future. Everyone's hearts were shocked. Yes, City B will not build a safe zone, and there will be no people in the city in the future. Regardless of the subsequent construction issues, why do they worry so much when killing zombies? Even if the city is blown to pieces, it's nothing to regret. What's more, if City B wasn't too close to their City A, it is not impossible to apply directly to Kyoto for the use of nuclear weapons, and it will be settled in one go. With this thought, everyone suddenly calmed down. At that time, we will arrange helicopter bombings to see if that stupid zombie king can control all the zombies, Huang Ho said excitedly. As long as the zombie wave explodes, they can kill the corpses. Yes. It's best to blow up the zombie king directly, so that it's all over, Zhang Huai followed. The rest of the people looked at Zhang Huai with smiles on their faces, thinking that his idea was a good one. Thinking too much. Unexpectedly, Lele suddenly said. Seeing everyone looking at him, Lele continued, after this video was sent back, the drone and a nearby helicopter were destroyed by the zombie king. With his current supernatural power, it would not be difficult to throw a lightning blade and destroy flying objects in the air within 200 meters of him. He can do it, and so can the Zombie King. Even in their city helicopters are important strategic materials and cannot be used to take such a big risk. Everyone's expressions became serious again. Yes, that is the Zombie King whose strength is immeasurable. If the helicopter doesn't fly high enough, it may be attacked by it. But if it flies too high, it will be difficult to accurately release the bomb. Forget about blowing up the Zombie King for now. First think of a way to disperse the zombie wave, Lele said solemnly. Get rid of them all within 10 days. Everyone looked serious instantly. Yes. Lele said a few more words and then dismissed everyone to make their own arrangements. Len Ning also called City D and asked Sun Chi to make arrangements. By evening, all survivors and excess soldiers in City B had been evacuated. There are only 1,500 elite soldiers and a handful of support staff left in the base camp. Lele and Len Ning were walking on the edge of the base camp. At this moment, the noisy and lively urban area of B City before the end of the world was dark and desolate. Except for the light from the base camp behind them, the rest of the city was dark. Let's take action tomorrow morning. Go back and sleep early, Len Ning said to Lele as the night wind blew. I just got up. I can't sleep even when I go back, Lele replied with a smile. After the meeting in the morning, he went to catch up on his sleep. Because he was too sleepy, he fell into a deep sleep and didn't wake up until dinner time because he was hungry. He had just had dinner now, and he wanted to take a walk with Xiaoning. Thank you for your hard work during this time, Len Ning squeezed Lei Ting's big hand with his small hand. Lele felt warm in his heart and was about to say it's not hard. Unexpectedly, Len Ning had already continued, but, can you take the time to shave your beard? She also looked at him with some disgust. Lele subconsciously touched his chin. I'll shave it later, he said with a slight stutter. Don't wait any longer. Go back and shave now. Len Ning looked at Lei Ting's beard. It felt like they were piercing her eyes. These beards really affect my brother's appearance. She has turned a stylish man into a macho man, but she still prefers a more stylish man. Before Lele responded, Len Ning had already pulled him back. Gone. Lele had no choice but to obey his wife's pull and follow her to the camp. When he arrived at the place, Len Ning watched him shaving, as if he were looking at some strange animal. It wasn't until he finished that she came over with a smile. Without saying a few words, Len Ning took him to bed. Lying on the bed, looking at his little wife in his arms, Lele's mind slowly drifted away. The next day, at 6 o'clock in the morning, just after dawn, a helicopter flew over the central district of City B. Soon, a series of explosions reached the ears of Lele and others. Then, the zombie wave diverged as they had expected. The soldiers who had been waiting outside quickly opened fire and started the battle. But the battle only lasted 2 hours, and the sound of firearms was unable to draw out the zombie wave. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 753. You're really calm, Lele said as he looked at the wave of zombies that had regrouped not far away but couldn't come over. Around and behind him were soldiers clearing the battlefield. Len Ning raised the corners of his mouth. Then blow it up again and see how long it shrinks. If he summoned all the zombies back so quickly, then the Zombie King must be a tortoise. Don't you dare come and fight them. It depends on whether they are willing or not. Yeah, Lele picked up the phone. Soon, the second round of bombing began. Just like the first time, the zombie wave was divided again, and the soldiers seized the opportunity for a second round of attack. Then, the situation was the same as before. The divided zombie tide quickly gathered again and took up residence in the central area of the city again. The darkness condensed into one piece. Moreover, this zombie wave returned to the control of the Zombie King significantly faster than the first time. Drink some water. Len Ning took a look at Lele, who was standing not far away, staring at the zombie army in the central area of the city, and Len Ning moved forward. Lei Lei averted his gaze. He reached out and took the water bottle from Len Ning's hand. Then he unscrewed the cap and drank most of the bottle. These are the pictures from Kyoto. Then, Len Ning took out several pictures from the space ring and handed them to Lei Ting. A picture is sent from Kyoto every half hour, with the corresponding time and estimate of the total number of zombies marked on the picture. The number of zombies in the city is now declining. The diverted zombie wave they killed was part of the number. In addition, within the zombie wave, zombies are also killing each other. There are still 530,000 zombies left, Lei Lei said, looking at the numbers on the latest picture. 70,000 less in just one morning. It's very fast, Len Ning comforted. How many of them were we killed? 70,000 is indeed not a small number, but how many of them were they killed? I'm afraid most of it comes from zombies fighting among themselves, which is not a good thing. Len Ning's face froze. About 25,000 then, he said solemnly. It's not that everyone doesn't fight hard, but the zombie king refuses to fight them. From the start of the war in the morning to now, excluding the time for helicopter bombing and clearing the battlefield, the time they spent fighting zombies was too short. Being able to kill more than 20,000 zombies is actually an ideal result. The zombie tide consumes more zombies than we can kill, Lei Lei said with some disappointment. Len Ning was about to speak when Lei Lei took out his cell phone. In half an hour, arrange the third round of bombing. There is no other way, they can only follow the plan step by step. At noon, the soldiers had lunch on the battlefield. It wasn't until the last battle was over in the evening that Lei Lei gave the order to return to camp. Early morning. Lei Lei was reading information on his laptop when his cell phone suddenly rang. Seeing that the call was from Kyoto, Lei Lei immediately answered it. Mr. Wang. Commander Lei, there's a wave of zombies. Wang Ji's voice was filled with excitement. Lei Lei raised the corner of his mouth. I really couldn't bear it, so I came at just 12 o'clock. But yes, the place where they camp is far away from the central area of the city, and it will take time for the zombies to arrive. Approximately how many came? It's estimated to be no less than 80,000. I want to eat you all, Wang Ji said with a smile. Excluding these 80,000 zombies, there are probably only about 300,000 zombies left in the central area of the city. The number of zombies dropped by almost half in one day. It's amazing. The number is a bit too much, Lei Lei chuckled, but it's still within the tolerance range. He had already made arrangements in advance. Starting in the evening, Kyoto's satellite monitoring of zombies in the central area became more frequent. What he was waiting for was the zombie wave coming out. During the day, the zombie king acts like a coward. He has no chance of massacring zombies. They take the initiative to come to your door at night, and it saves a lot of trouble for them to wait for work. If a wave of more than 100,000 zombies comes, he will arrange for the soldiers to retreat immediately and let them escape. Anyway, the helicopter is always on standby, and there are only a few people on the battlefield in City B. It wouldn't take half an hour for all his men to evacuate. But there are only 80,000 zombies, so they are here to kill him. Do you need my help? Wang Ji asked with a smile, hearing that Lei Lei seemed very confident. I appreciate it. But it's too far from Kyoto, so I'd rather help you keep an eye on the satellite surveillance. Haha. Okay. I'll keep an eye on you until tomorrow morning, Wang Ji said with a hearty smile. Thank you. Lei Ting thanked him and hung up the phone. A flash of light flashed in his eyes, and he quickly dialed the number in City A. 5 minutes later, the soldiers who were already on standby in City A quickly set off. Helicopters and military trucks were dispatched together. Yes, he had already made arrangements in advance. Now the location of his camp has been calculated. The time it took for the zombie wave to arrive was enough for him to dispatch manpower from City A for reinforcements. After all, It only takes 10 minutes for a helicopter to fly over from City A. If it is a military card, it will take 2.5 hours to reach the camp from Kongzhen. According to the Zombie King's urinary nature, it and its cronies will not come if they make a surprise attack tonight. After all, they are busy getting stronger now. A wave of 80,000 zombies without the Zombie King will only be swallowed up by him. After arranging everything, Lei quickly convened a meeting with senior military officials. Then, the soldiers quickly set up an ambush outside the base camp, waiting for the zombie army to come. By 2:30 in the morning, the zombie army finally arrived. The war begins. The zombies rushed towards the camp one after another, killing as many as they could. The soldiers in the camp and the soldiers coming from the outside attacked front and back, and as Lei expected, they quickly slaughtered all 80,000 zombies. The battle lasted only 3 hours and ended. The soldiers were busy cleaning the battlefield, and everyone in the combat command room had smiles on their faces. "Hurry and finish before dawn, you can have breakfast soon," Huang Ho said. "I just didn't sleep all night, I feel a little uncomfortable," Zhang Huai followed. Everyone looked at Thunder. Although the soldiers are all superpowers, they still have Senliki pills around them to refresh themselves. But if this continues for a long time, people will still be unable to bear it. Zombies are indeed better than them in this regard. As long as they hear sounds and see people, it's like taking stimulants and they won't feel tired at all. Let everyone take turns to rest. Hold on for a few more days and give everyone a holiday after the battle is over, Lei said. There is nothing we can do about it. At other times, it would be okay to let everyone go about their normal routine and slowly kill zombies. But they are competing for time with the Zombie King. Every minute they delay, the Zombie King and its zombie minions will become stronger. They can't afford to waste time. Yes, Zhang Huai nodded solemnly. The smiles on the other people's faces also faded. According to this situation, the tough battle will begin soon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 754. After breakfast, Lei once again received satellite images from Kyoto. There are only 250,000 zombies left. Len Ning looked at the estimated number of zombies on the satellite map, his heart heavy. More than 50,000 zombies disappeared in one night, and the Zombie King had no time to spare. Although the zombies are killing each other at a slower pace than during the day, there are more than 50,000 zombies in one night, which is not a small number. It seems that we will be able to fight it to the death as soon as tomorrow. Lei looked into the distance. Yes, Len Ning stepped forward and held Lei Ting's hand. Lei then withdrew his gaze, looked at Len Ning, and took her into his arms. Soon, the army set off. Same routine as yesterday. First, there was an air strike. Once the zombies were scattered, they rushed forward and killed the scattered zombies. Seeing that the number of zombies was decreasing, Len Ning was originally worried that they would anger the Zombie King, who might lead the remaining zombie army to fight with them, but he didn't expect that it was still holding back. Moreover, the zombie groups are still killing each other, causing the number of zombies to continue to decrease. The day passed very hard, but also quickly. In the evening, Thunder once again led the soldiers back to the camp. Good news, there are only 150,000 zombies left in the city. Len Ning held the latest satellite image and walked towards Thunder with a smile. Lei took the picture and took a look, but there was no relaxed expression on his face. There are only 150,000 zombies left. The turtle shouldn't dare to attack tonight, Len Ning said with a smile. I'm optimistic, I'm afraid it will come again tonight, and it will be a decisive battle. Suddenly, the Blue Snake's voice sounded behind the two of them. Len Ning looked at Blue Snake. Boss, Blue Snake came over and saluted Thunder. Yeah, Lele responded. Give your opinion. Blue Snake glanced at Len Ning before saying, there are only 150,000 zombies left in the city center now. If the number continues to decrease, the advantage in zombie numbers will soon disappear. If I were the zombie king, I would launch a general attack tonight. It's better to do it tonight than tomorrow. The night has a greater impact on humans than zombies. And after experiencing the previous things, our guard against it will weaken. Didn't Xiao Ning lower his guard against it just now? No matter how they explode, the zombie king just won't show his head. As usual, at this time most people would guess that it still wouldn't dare to show its face tonight. At this time, if it leads the zombie army over, it may be able to catch them off guard. Of course, it doesn't know that there are satellites in Kyoto that can monitor the zombie tide. Therefore, even if it does come, they will not be passive. I hope it won't be so smart, Lele said. He agrees with Blue Snake's idea. If he were the opponent, he would also fight tonight. Although fighting at night is not good for them. But it's not all disadvantages. Now the soldiers' hearts are tense, and everyone can hold on purely by willpower. Most of the soldiers are approaching the stage of fatigue, and their mental state will deteriorate sharply after tonight. Maybe it's a good thing to have a decisive battle tonight. Before the soldiers become highly mentally exhausted, their combat effectiveness will not be weakened too much. In addition, if you give the zombie king less time for one night, he will become less powerful. Blue Snake nodded. The three of them looked into the distance, watching the night fall. After the meal, Len Ning watched Lele read the documents and took a nap. Go and sleep for a while. Lele's eyes flashed with distress, and he hugged Len Ning into his arms. It was not easy for her to put down her position as division commander and be able to stay away from the battlefield. But because of him, she came back. Don't sleep. I'll wait for the zombie wave with you. Len Ning rubbed his eyes and forced himself to cheer up. After a yawn, I simply took 2 San Miguel pills. The distress in Lele's eyes became even stronger. Just when he was about to persuade again, Len Ning had already stood up. Come outside with me for a walk, a little breeze will refresh you, he invited Lele with a smile. Thunder sighed. Get up. The couple held hands and left the tent. It was already 12 o'clock at midnight. After walking out, the two discovered that most of the soldiers were awake. Many people were playing games in circles around the campfire. Seeing Lele and Len Ning arriving, everyone greeted them one after another. Len Ning responded one by one, feeling that the night was a little more tender. When they arrived at a bonfire, Huang Ho and Zhang Huai were both there. When the two saw Lele and Len Ning arriving, they immediately invited them to join. Looking at the sincere and simple smiling faces, Len Ning was infected. After looking at each other with Lele, he pulled Lele to join the others. The simplest game played is drumming and passing flowers. There was no drum, so a stick was used to beat the butt of the gun. When the knocking stops, whoever gets the little flag will perform a show. Most of them sing and some tell jokes. In the lively atmosphere, Len Ning and Lele quickly integrated into it. This relieves fatigue, and the drowsiness disappears when the excitement becomes lively. After a while, the small flag finally stopped in Len Ning's hand. Come on. Come on, Zhang Huai took the lead in cheering. Come one. Come one, Huang Ho followed. Madam, come one. Madam, come one, the rest of the people followed suit. The title Madam made Len Ning blush and look at Lele. She used to be called Master Leng, Mr. Leng, and Mr. Leng. This was the first time she heard someone call her MRS. Go Lele also had a smile on his face. The soldiers were amazed. It turned out that their commander could also smile, and his smile was so warm. It is said that the commander and his wife are very much in love, but it seems that they really love the wife terribly. But the lady is so powerful and beautiful, so any man would pamper her. Len Ning stood up with a blushing face and finally walked to the center of the circle. Then a song was sung. Lei Lei looked at Len Ning, his eyes full of beauty. Suddenly, his cell phone rang. Lei Lei's body froze for a moment. At the same time, the discordant cell phone ringtones made several people around him look stiff. Suppressing his emotions, Lei Lei swiped the answer option on his phone. Hello. How much? Okay, I get it. Lei Lei said a few words into the phone and hung up. Zhang Huai and Huang Ho looked at Lei Lei nervously. Boss. Commander. At this time, Len Ning also finished singing and looked over. Thunder stood up from the ground. The Zombie King has moved. Come with me to the combat command room for a meeting, Lei Lei said to Zhang Huai and Huang Ho. Yes, the two said immediately. Go and notify others, Lei Lei said again. Yes, a soldier hurriedly left. Then, Lei Lei took Len Ning and left. Sure enough, I am here, I am destined to have no sleep tonight. Operations Command Room. Just 5 minutes after Lei Ting and Len Ning arrived, the commanders of each division arrived. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 755. The satellite images sent from Kyoto show that the zombie wave is coming out in full force this time, with a total number of more than 140,000, Lei Lei said solemnly. This wave of zombies is different from what we have encountered before. There will be a large number of high-level zombies inside. We don't have enough manpower to confront them head-on. Thunder pointed to a location on the map. The zombie wave will pass by here. Sun Chi asked the flight team to prepare. When most of the zombie army enters this area, bomb the area. Yes, Sun Chi said immediately. Everyone nodded. Although bombing may not kill many zombies, it can make most zombies lose their combat effectiveness. For example, blowing up the arms and legs of zombies to make them disabled. Their attack power will be greatly reduced. Except for the 5th Division's helicopters, Blue Snake, the remaining helicopters will be left to you to arrange. Lei Lei looked at Blue Snake again. Here then, Lei Lei pointed to the second place on the map. You arrange the next round of bombings. Blue Snake looked at where Thunder was pointing, with a gleam in his eyes. That location is in the center of several avenues. If bombed there, the zombie wave will most likely be diverted. Everyone looked at Lei Lei excitedly, obviously understanding Lei Lei's plan. 3 directions, Yellow Monkey, Red Fox, and Zhang Huai, each of you will lead 1,000 elite soldiers to ambush nearby safe areas in advance. If the zombie wave is diverted by then, your task is to wipe them all out. Yes, the 3 of them immediately accepted the order. If you find that something is wrong, remember to send a signal in time and withdraw. Lei Lei thought for a moment. If he were the Zombie King and found that his intentions had been known to the other party, he might withdraw or stay put to avoid being plotted again just to be on the safe side. Of course, the second bombing point was actually not that far away from their base camp. If it rushes towards them through Thunder at all costs, there is a high probability. If so, all the better. The 3 of them looked at each other. Yes, then he said to Lei Ting. Go, Lei Lei said in a deep voice. The 4 people left immediately. Only Thunder, Len Ning, and He Hu are left in the combat command room. Boss, what should I do? Black Tiger asked nervously towards Lei Lei. His supernatural power is the best among the 4 colors. The boss must have kept him to guard the base camp with him. But just sit there and wait for the Zombie King to come? How can that work? Thunder looked at Black Tiger. Go and arrange for the soldiers below level 4 to evacuate together with the logistics personnel. It will be completed within 40 minutes. Yesterday, a wave of zombies came to attack the camp. He mobilized all the masters of level 4 and above that Cydia could mobilize. At the same time, soldiers below the 4th level were also asked to withdraw to City A. But some of them haven't left yet, most of them are support staff. This battle is extremely dangerous, and the zombie wave is very likely to rush into the camp. At that time, people with low strength will be in danger. Level 4, in fact, even level 4 superpower users may lose their lives. A flash of struggle flashed across Black Tiger's face. Arrange for evacuation? This can be done by sending just one person, but what about the strategic arrangements? Why don't you go quickly, Lei said in a deep voice when Haihu didn't move. He arranged all the helicopters for Sun Chi and Blue Snake. The evacuees could only leave in military trucks. Fortunately, the road back to Cydia from here is not difficult. It just takes a little more time and is not dangerous. Yes, Haihu didn't dare to say more and left immediately. After Black Tiger left, Len Ning looked at Lei Ting. So many people have been sent out, and now another group has been sent away. There are not many people left in the base camp. There are as many as 140,000 zombies in this wave. Even if some can be diverted and eliminated on the road, the number of zombies coming towards them will not be much less. Can the few people left in the camp be able to withstand it? Yeah, Lei responded and sat down. Those who are not strong enough will be left to die if they stay. This is the only way to arrange it? A flash of anxiety flashed in Len Ning's eyes. Leave the people in the camp to your command, and ask Black Tiger to cooperate with you when the time comes, Lei said to Len Ning. Just do a good job and try not to let the zombies flood into the camp, and hold on until they come back for reinforcements. Len Ning's heart sank. I'll go with you. Leave the camp to Black Tiger, he immediately said to Lei Ting. The eldest brother is leaving himself to fight the zombie king. Although she is not as strong as him, looking at the entire city, she is second only to him in strength. With her joining forces with him, wouldn't the probability of killing the zombie king be greater? Stay at the camp? Who are you trying to fool by saying this? Black Tiger can't do it well, Lei said. Among the four-color group, Black Tiger is indeed the strongest in terms of strength, but he is the worst in terms of overall strength. The camp needs a leader who can stabilize people's hearts and adapt to changes. He admitted that it was his intention to arrange for Black Tiger to stay at the camp. Although he and the Zombie King have never fought head-on, they have already competed against each other. This Zombie King cannot be underestimated in terms of his character and strength. Even if he faced it, he wouldn't be sure of victory. Xiao Ning was on a collision course with it. If something unexpected happened, he couldn't bear it. Len Ning was about to retort, but Lei was the first to say, I'm going to kill the Zombie King. This is the fastest way to end the battle. If I can't kill him, I won't confront him head-on. Seeing that Len Ning was about to speak again, Lei continued, with my current strength, if I can't beat him, running away won't be a problem. I didn't say that I had to fight it to the death tonight. I'll give it a try. If I find that I can't beat it, I'll notify everyone to evacuate. Lei looked at Len Ning dotingly. At worst, we all evacuate City B, and we will find other ways to get rid of it later. Len Ning looked at Lei, feeling a strong sense of helplessness in his heart. The eldest brother plotted against her, but she couldn't be angry with him, and she could only cooperate. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became, and Len Ning's mood started to break down. Lei quickly stood up and walked to Len Ning. He held her head and put her head on his belly. Silly girl, nothing will happen. Len Ning couldn't control his emotions anymore, and tears rolled out of his eyes. You promise, if you can't fight, you'll run away. Len Ning tried to calm down his emotions, not wanting Lei Ting to find out that he had cried. Damn it, she is Mr. Len, why is she so fragile? Okay, I promise. Lei comforted Len Ning by patting her on the back. Len Ning buried her head in Lei Ting's belly and didn't move for a long time. Lei Ting was very distressed, but he just patted Len Ning on the back to comfort him and said nothing. 10 minutes later, Len Ning finally controlled his emotions and let go of Lei Ting. Then, Len Ning stood up and looked straight at Lei Lei. I'm waiting for news from you. I won't leave until you come back. Lei Lei's eyes were startled. The wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Ki Now. Chapter 756. Seeing Len Ning still looking at him, he finally nodded. Good. Len Ning finally withdrew his gaze. Then he closed his eyes and meditated. Then, Xiao Huai appeared in mid-air. Lei Lei was stunned. Zhizhi, Zhizhi, Xiao Huai shouted happily and flew to Len Ning's face. It has been following its owner for the past few days and can eat zombie meat every day. It is so beautiful. You go with Big Brother and help him deal with the zombie king when the time comes. Len Ning used his consciousness to communicate with Xiao Huai. Zhizhi, Zhizhi, the small crown of the small locust tree moved, as if it was nodding. A hint of complexity flashed in Len Ning's eyes, and then he looked at Lei Lei. Let Xiao Huai go with you. Lei Lei subconsciously wanted to refuse. Xiao Ning relied on commanding Xiaoman and Xiao Huai to fight. Although Xiao Huai could only kill zombies in one place, he was very lethal. With Xiao Huai here, Xiao Ning can be safer. When you find the zombie king, call it and it will take root near the zombie king. Then it will cooperate with you to kill the zombie king. Even if Xiao Huai can't kill the zombie king, he can still help deal with other zombies that want to attack his elder brother. Make him less distracted. It was enough for her to stay in the base camp with Xiaoman by her side. With Xiao Huai following her elder brother, she will feel more at ease. Lei Lei glanced at Xiao Huai. Seeing that it had left Len Ning and circled around him, he felt relieved. Okay, then he agreed to Len Ning. Then, I'll make the arrangements. Len Ning looked at Lei Lei reluctantly. Go. Lei Lei was silent for a moment before saying. He doesn't want to separate from Xiao Ning, he just hopes that when Incident B is over, he and Xiao Ning can live a stable life. After 5 seconds, Len Ning took his eyes away from Lei Ting's face, then turned and left. An hour and a half later, the base camp finally heard an explosion. It was Sun Chi who started the first round of bombing. I saw as many as 20 helicopters bombing the ground in the night sky. The rumbling explosion caused the zombies to fly with flesh and blood. The originally neat and mighty zombie army was blown to pieces and became restless. Under the illumination of the flash bomb, the pilots could clearly see the miserable state of the zombies below. After a round of bombing, most of the zombies that entered the bombing area were blown away and lost their combat effectiveness. The flying team was happily showing off to each other. Suddenly, a lightning blade was launched from the ground and directly shot down a helicopter. Immediately afterwards, countless fierce attacks came from the ground towards the sky. Soon, 2 more helicopters were hit and crashed because they were flying too low. Sun Chi quickly operated to let his helicopter fly high, and at the same time told the other pilots to quickly increase the flying height of the helicopter. But it was too late, he soon saw 3 helicopters shot down again. One of the helicopters was flying at a similar altitude to him and was struck by lightning and fell. Zombie King, these were the 3 words that came to Sun Chi's mind subconsciously. Sun Chi quickly ordered the pilots to continue to increase their flying altitude. Almost immediately, he saw another lightning blade coming towards his helicopter. Sun Chi quickly controlled the helicopter to avoid the attack. Immediately afterwards, he actually saw other supernatural powers attacking at their height. Seeing 2 more helicopters crash in front of his eyes, Sun Chi finally ordered a retreat. Lei Ting, Len Ning, the 4-color group and Zhang Huai soon learned the news. Everyone's heart was solemn. We can only use flash bombs and blindly drop bombs, Blue Snake analyzed. Now Red Fox, Yellow Monkey and Zhang Huai have all arrived at their respective positions to ambush and wait. His second air raid had to be scheduled. But in view of the situation Sun Chi encountered, using flash bombs, they could clearly see the location of the zombie wave, but the zombies would also see the location of the helicopter. The lessons learned from the past are there, Doing so will be dangerous for both the pilot and the helicopter. More importantly, it affects task completion. Not only cannot flash bombs be used, but the helicopter's lights must also be turned off. In order to avoid helicopter collisions in the air, he had to reduce the number of helicopters on a single mission. "Let me go, I escaped, I have experience," Sun Chi said. 20 helicopters participated in the battle, but only 3 helicopters followed him back. 12 outstanding pilots of their 5th Division were killed, and he wanted revenge. Blue Snake glanced at Sun Chi. "You go back to the camp first and leave this place to me. Emotionalism is taboo at this time. The stronger the Zombie King becomes, the more they must hold firm." Blue Snake. As soon as Sun Chi called out Blue Snake's name, Blue Snake looked at him. "Your mission is completed, the camp still needs you," Blue Snake said directly. Sun Chi's expression froze. After a long while, he finally nodded. "Take care then," he said goodbye to Blue Snake and left with his people. He was emotional just now. According to the previous commander's instructions, he should indeed rush back to the camp now. The commander and boss in the camp were still waiting. He could not disrupt the commander's plans and arrangements because of his impulsiveness. Blue Snake watched Sun Chi leave. It wasn't until Sun Chi walked out of sight that he rushed to the people behind him. "Let brothers prepare. Not far from his battlefield is the base camp. The boss and the young lady are still in the base camp. Even if you know you will lose this battle, you still have to fight it. Even if you know you are going to die, you can't be afraid." An hour later, helicopters bombed the zombie wave again. Blue Snake learned from Sun Chi's experience and lessons and familiarized the pilot with the environment of the destination in advance. Then 3 helicopters were arranged to blindly and continuously drop bombs on the destination. After the helicopter was shot down, the pilot detonated all the bombs he carried on the ground, blasting the zombie wave for the last time. Then, the new helicopter is on top. The Zombie King and his cronies are constantly attacking helicopters in the sky, but no matter how they attack, new helicopters will appear soon after the helicopter crashes. As time went by, the Zombie King became more and more wary. These humans attacked it like they were desperate. With so many helicopters, it was obvious that the other party had discovered its intentions. Can it still win if it pounces at this time? How many traps are waiting for it on the road ahead? Whether to move forward or retreat, the Zombie King couldn't make up his mind, and he didn't have time to make a decision. It wants to kill those annoying things flying in the air, kill them all. Blue Snake looked at the time and kept in touch with Red Fox, Yellow Monkey, and Zhang Huai. When it was confirmed that the zombie tide had been diverted and dispersed widely, Blue Snake felt a little more relieved. In order to let Red Fox, Yellow Monkey, and Zhang Huai take away more zombies, Blue Snake continued to persist. It wasn't until the last helicopter crashed that he announced that his mission was completed, and then rushed back to the base camp with the remaining people. At this time, more than an hour and a half had passed since the Blue Snake launched its attack on the zombie wave. I don't know how many zombies were killed and destroyed in the zombie wave. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 757. The zombies were diverted out. Under the operation of Red Fox, Yellow Monkey, and Zhang Huai, many zombies were attracted to faraway places. Along the way, the soldiers did not stop greeting the zombies, and the number of zombies continued to decrease at an extremely fast rate. Base Camp. Less than 15 minutes after Blue Snake arrived, a mighty zombie wave arrived. According to news from Kyoto, the number of this wave of zombies is about 50,000. There were 140,000 zombies when they set out from the central area of the city, but only 50,000 remained at the main camp. The effect was already calculated. The zombie army arrived, and Lele led the way into the zombie wave. The night is as bright as day under the illumination of flash bombs, and you can see that he can kill a large number of zombies with one move. In addition to Thunder, there were 20 powerful people with special powers who also rushed into the zombie wave to help Thunder resist the zombies that might be squeezing from the left and right sides. Len Ning supervises the battle on the front line. Walk around the edge of the camp and act as a fire extinguisher at any time to prevent zombies from rushing into the camp. Boss, there are many high-level zombies in the zombie wave, and several of our brothers have been dragged away. As soon as Len Ning appeared, Sun Chi said to her sadly and angrily. This wave of zombies was different from the ones they had encountered before. There were too many high-level zombies in it. If it hadn't been for the fact that his power level had reached the peak of the 4th level and the soldiers' power levels were not low, I would have been unable to defend this place long ago. Since he followed his boss to create the 5th branch, this was the first time that they suffered such a big loss. Damn the Zombie King. Hold on. Hold on until the remaining 3 divisions return to support, Len Ning said in a deep voice. Why didn't she want to take revenge? Now not only the people of the 5th division, but also the elites of each division were severely damaged. But there are only 1,800 people in the camp. If people continue to die, it will be a matter of time before the zombies flood in. When the time comes, they will fight with the zombies, and few of them will survive. At this time, Len Ning saw a power zombie arriving at the edge of the camp and destroying the camp fortifications. Next to this power zombie, there are 2 fire zombies activating their fire powers to attack the soldiers who stop them. Without paying attention, a soldier was burned by the flames, and then a zombie reached out and grabbed him. Xiaoman quickly took action in Len Ning's hand. Several vines flew out and directly took out the crystal cores of several zombies around the soldiers. Then, ignoring Sun Chi, Len Ning ran forward quickly. Commanded Xiaoman to start killing people. Seeing this, Sun Chi hurried to follow. Once the boss arrives, they can defend this place. Half an hour later, Lele once again eliminated a group of zombies blocking him, and finally discovered the Zombie King. If he hadn't been far away, Lele would have discovered that except for the purple skin on his body, the other characteristics of this Zombie King were the same as those of ordinary people. While Thunder was looking at it, it also looked at Thunder. One person and one corpse are about 100 meters apart, and they are all using their Thunder powers to kill the surrounding zombies. The difference is that Thunder kills zombies by killing enemies. The Zombie King kills his own kind for their crystal nuclei. After only a 2-second pause, Thunder headed in the direction of the Zombie King. Almost at the same time, more than 30 high-level zombies appeared near the Zombie King. After only running 50 meters, Lele encountered these high-level zombies. Without any hesitation, Lele fired several lightning blades and quickly hit several high-level zombies that ran over. These zombies were quickly charred and turned into charcoal in an instant. The Zombie King not far away had stopped killing and turned around to look directly at Lele. He knew that Thunder was very strong, but he was not yet sure to what extent his strength was. These idiots can help it test out the best. If not, it would be a good idea to take the opportunity to consume him. The high-level zombies quickly fought with Thunder. After the close combat, the Thunder quickly condensed into a Thunder Whip. If the zombies did not dodge in time, they would be hit by the Thunder Whip. The Thunder Whip is attached with the powerful electricity released by Thunder, and zombies will die if it touches it. Lele killed 7 or 8 more zombies one after another, and he found that these zombies were really strong. Only 7 or 8 of these zombies were at the peak of the 4th level, and the rest were all at the 5th level. Fortunately, there were no lightning-type zombies among them, otherwise he might not be able to cope with so many zombies coming together. Commander, let's help you. Lele was fighting with the high-level zombies when he suddenly heard the soldiers' voices. Looking back, he saw a dozen people rushing towards him. They were the 20 superpower masters who had followed him before. There were 20 people when they came out with him, and by the time he separated from them, there were only 16 people left. Now it seems that all 16 of them are gone. They are the strongest ones in the second army besides him and a few senior commanders. "Don't come over, retreat to the camp," Lele shouted after taking a look at the zombie king who was looking at him not far away. Commander, the person on the other side, did not change direction, but his steps slowed down. It is the duty of soldiers to obey orders. But execute the order, Lele frowned and said sternly. Suddenly, a fire zombie fired a fireball at Thunder. Lele narrowly avoided it, but his shoulder failed to dodge and was hit by the fireball. The superpowers of 5th level fire zombies are extremely lethal. In just a moment, Lele knew that his shoulder was seriously injured. At this moment, Lele saw the zombie king. It still stood not far away and looked at him, as if mockingly, saying that his strength was no more than this. Lele threw out 2 lightning blades, directly killing the fire zombie that had just attacked him. Then with a flick of his arm, he straightened the shoulder that had just been dislocated by the fireball. The soldiers not far away saw this situation and finally decided to evacuate. They couldn't help in the past, and they were afraid that they would also implicate the army commander. Lei Ting finally felt relieved and began to focus on solving the trouble in front of him. At this moment, the zombie king suddenly made a move. Then more than a dozen zombies came towards Thunder. Lele increased his mental power output, making the Thunder whip thicker and longer, preparing to quickly deal with the high-level zombies that were pestering him. But he saw that the dozen zombies bypassed him and headed forward. Realizing that these zombies were chasing the soldiers, Lele subconsciously wanted to stop them, but was entangled by high-level zombies and couldn't get away at all. 10 seconds later, looking at the zombie king not far away who was looking at him smugly, Lele finally gave up the idea of chasing him to help. Only by killing it can everything here be ended. Gigi, Gigi, Gigi. Xiao Huai had been hiding in the pocket of Lele's clothes. After seeing the zombie king, he finally couldn't wait any longer. The master asked him to help the male master kill the zombie king, and it wanted to come out. It wants to eat zombies, lots of zombies. These zombies tasted so good, better than the ones it had eaten before. Just as Lele was about to tell Xiao Huai not to worry, he saw the zombie king moving not far away. Thank you Vetiver for the inspiration capsule. Moi. Preparing to finish on May 1 St. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 758. I saw a lightning sword suddenly condensed in his hand. With one swing of the sword, the nearby zombies were charred. Wherever it passed, the zombies took the initiative to get out of the way. The zombie king just walked up to Thunder. Then, it swung its long sword and directly killed 3 high-level zombies that had just attacked Thunder. At this time, Thunder quickly killed the remaining 2 zombies. One person and one corpse finally met each other's eyes and could see each other clearly. Then, the surrounding zombies retreated, leaving a large open space around the zombie king and Thunder. Lele looked at the scene and thought to himself that this zombie king wanted to compete fairly with him. Squeak, squeak, squeak. When Xiao Huai saw the zombie king coming, he couldn't bear it anymore and flew out of Lele's pocket. Zhizzy, his face stopped next to Lei Ting's ear, shouting for help. Lele glanced at the retreating zombies around him, and then looked at the zombie king. You're not needed here, go back to Xiaoning, then he said in a deep voice. I brought Xiao Huai out earlier because I wanted him to help clean up some of the minions so that he could concentrate on fighting the zombie king. But now since the zombie king wants to fight him fairly, there is no need for Xiao Huai to participate. It wasn't that he was aloof and didn't want Xiao Huai to help, but that the zombie king had extraordinary intelligence and was not the kind of mindless zombie at all. If it attacks Xiao Huai will definitely be seriously injured. Xiao Huai couldn't understand Lei Ting's words, but from his tone of voice and his demeanor, he could guess a lot. But so what if you understand? Squeak, squeak, squeak. The owner asked him to stay and help, but he didn't leave. The zombie king looked at Xiao Huai, and there was a hint of irritability in his eyes. Then, it immediately took action with the long sword in its hand, and a bolt of thunder and lightning came out, heading towards Xiao Huai. Lei quickly swung a lightning blade to resist. Two bolts of lightning collided, creating a thunderous roar. Then, one person and one corpse finally fought each other. The figures of both sides shook, and thunder and lightning collided in the air. The sound of thunder continued, resounding throughout the entire Chinnan district of City B. Lei calmly responded to the zombie king's attack while looking for opportunities. Unfortunately, after trying several times in a row, he failed to succeed even though he saw the zombie king showing his flaws. Not to mention succeeding, he couldn't even get close to the zombie king. Suddenly, Lei didn't pay attention, and a bolt of lightning rushed towards him. Lei dodged, but it was too late. The lightning passed by his right arm. Ah, the severe pain made Lei roar. Lei Ting only felt a sharp pain in the place where he was scratched by lightning, which was 10 times more painful than the most serious injury he had ever experienced in his life. At the same time, his body began to tremble due to excessive use of mental power. The zombie king did not attack Thunder again, but looked at him leisurely with some mocking in his eyes. Is this the strength of the strongest human being? So weak. Lei tried hard to control his trembling body. The thunder whip in his hand dispersed, and then condensed a long sword that was the same as the zombie king's weapon. Just as he was about to rush forward and continue fighting with the zombie king, he suddenly saw a huge locust tree appearing in the sky next to him. Then, the locust tree fell to the ground, shaking the ground. Then the locust tree quickly took root in the ground, and its huge trunk stretched out, blocking him behind the trunk. Thunder's eyes moved slightly. Xiao Huai. Then, without waiting for Thunder to speak, Xiao Huai stretched out a large number of vines and attacked the zombie king. The zombie king glanced at the locust tree contemptuously, but did not even dodge or avoid it. It wasn't until the vines reached the zombie king that it suddenly moved. I saw it take action with its long sword, and with just one blow, Xioman's vines were all carbonized by lightning. All the branches of the locust tree trembled, obviously suffering great pain. Thunder wiped the sweat from his forehead and quickly pulled the flare. It's a signal to evacuate. He was still too optimistic. This zombie king was stronger than him, at least level 6. Maybe even more. He had been fighting with it for so long, and it seemed that it had never taken him seriously. Try as he might, he couldn't even injure it. Under the crushing force of absolute strength, no matter how many people they have, they cannot kill it. If it continues, more people will die. Evacuation is the best option. I just hope that Xiao Ning can leave quickly after receiving the signal. Although he is no match for the zombie king, he can delay the attack somewhat. Seeing the zombie king raising his long sword and about to strike at Xiao Huai, Lei shouted at him, "Your opponent is me." Then, under the watch of the zombie king, Lei swung his long sword and crossed the trunk of the small locust tree and rushed towards it. Hearing Lei shouting at him, the zombie king had a hint of displeasure in his eyes, then let Xiao Huai go and started fighting with Lei. This time, the zombie king obviously lost the patience he had before, and stabbed Lei again after just a few moves. At this time, Lei's body was covered in sweat and his whole body was shaking. It's not that I'm afraid, but that both my mental and physical strength are starting to become overwhelmed. Seeing a lightning blade coming towards his face, Lei raised his sword to resist. But the zombie king's lightning blade was so violent that it hit his sword and knocked him away. Thunder fell heavily to the ground and spit out a mouthful of blood. Seeing the zombie king coming towards him with a long sword, Lei forced himself to get up. No, he can't fall down yet. Xiao Ning and the others needed time to evacuate, and he had to hold it back. But he was mentally exhausted and couldn't get up even after trying twice in a row. The Zombie King finally came to Thunder, looking at him condescendingly, as if looking at an ant. Then it raised the sword in its hand. Suddenly, dozens of vines flew over. The Zombie King frowned and turned his head sharply. Then he raised the long sword in his hand, instantly lengthened it, and slashed at the locust tree that was overestimating its own strength and wanted to attack it a second time. There was a loud hiss sound, and the tall locust tree was split in half in the blink of an eye, and most of the branches were charred. At the same time, Len Ning, who was commanding Xiaoman to fight from 100 meters away, saw this scene. The shrill wail coming from Xiao Huai in her mind made her sea of consciousness tremble. Xiaoman was obviously also touched. Without waiting for Len Ning's mental power to activate, he increased his attack power on his own. Xiaoman was like an invincible pair of scissors, flying away the flesh and blood of countless zombies, leading Len Ning towards the direction of Thunder and the Zombie King. The Zombie King took care of Xiao Huai, and finally saw Len Ning when he turned around. He suddenly paused, with resentment and inexplicable expression in his eyes. At this time, Lei Lei finally got up from the ground. Hearing a huge noise, he looked back and saw Len Ning. Feeling anxious, Lei Lei coughed up a mouthful of blood again. Just as he was about to let Len Ning go, he was picked up by the Zombie King. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 759. Yes, picked it up. The Zombie King lifted Thunder off the ground with one hand. Because it is not as tall as Thunder, Thunder can only look down at it. Xiaoning, let's go. Looking at the blue-gray face of the Zombie King in front of him, Lei Lei felt anxious, but not afraid. Don't come here. Leave quickly. It's his fault, he shouldn't have agreed to Xiaoning's stay. But in this situation, how could Len Ning leave? Let him go, a voice shouted, and in a moment, Len Ning had arrived. Lei Lei couldn't help but close his eyes. It's over. Opening his eyes, Lei Lei unexpectedly saw the Zombie King smiling at him, with a sinister smile, like a ghost. Before he had time to be shocked as to why zombies could have expressions, he was lifted up by the Zombie King. Lei Lei's mind flashed and he completely lost his ability to resist. Seeing the Zombie King's movements, Len Ning's heart almost stopped. Just as he was about to stop shouting, he saw the face of the Zombie King. Huo Xiao. It turned out to be Huo Xiao. Len Ning's blood suddenly surged up, and his hands clenched into fists. Yes. The Zombie King is none other than Len Ning's great enemy Huo Xiao. He was indeed plotted against by Cie, and later escaped from the Confederate Army base and was shot dead. But at that time, the people at the Southern Army base encountered a zombie wave. In the chaos, they failed to leave Huo Xiao's body. After his death, Huo Xiao became a zombie and left the territory of the Southern Army base with the zombie army. Because it had been to a secret base before its death and had memories of zombies devouring the same kind of crystal nuclei. By chance, it started to become stronger after devouring the same kind of crystal nuclei. Soon, he started getting stronger and smarter. The memories before the end of the world slowly increased. He remembered that he had a big enemy named Len Ning. Yes, this is the human woman in front of me. Gg, Len, Ning. Suddenly, Huo Xiao made a hoarse voice. It's so eerie that ordinary people would probably feel numb after hearing it. Lei Lei was already in a semi-fainting state, but he immediately sobered up after hearing Huo Xiao's voice. He heard it right, this Zombie King could actually talk and called out Xiaoning's name. Len Ning on the other side also looked shocked. After he died, he evolved into a Zombie King to fight against her, and even attacked her big brother again. Damn it! Huo Xiao. Len Ning looked at Huo Xiao and almost shouted these two words through gritted teeth. The Zombie King was stunned. He tilted his head and looked a little dazed. Was it called this when it was human? Let him go, this is the grudge between us. Len Ning tried his best to control his anger and said to Huo Xiao. Attacking him twice in a row failed to completely get rid of him. This time, they should settle it in person. Huo Xiao threw Lei Ting aside. Looking at Len Ning again, his gaze changed from dull to cold. This human being has a lot of hostility towards him, not the kind of hatred humans have towards zombies, but a deeper level of hatred. Likewise, it hates her. Besides hating it, it was actually a little afraid of her. This human had done a lot of bad things to him while it was human. She is strong. Len Ning faced Huo Xiao's gaze directly, with no intention of dodging, and even stared back at it with an even colder gaze, until it actually started to want to retreat. As soon as his feet moved, Huo Xiao stopped. This is its territory, and there are countless zombies at its disposal. It is much stronger now than when it was a human. Can this human woman beat it? Thinking of this, Huo Xiao once again condensed the thunder sword in his hand. Not far away, Lei Lei saw this and struggled to get up to help Len Ning, but found that he still couldn't. Lei Lei was anxious, but he could only force himself to calm down. Now he tells Xiao Ning to run away, but she will definitely not listen. What should he do? A panic flashed through his mind, and then Lei Ting tried his best to sit up. Then he took out the pills and crystal cores in his space ring and began to replenish his physical strength. He had to recover as soon as possible. Only when his spiritual power source was restored could he help Xiaoning. Today, the couple will either die here together or work together to kill the zombie king. There is no other way to go. Len Ning glanced at Lei Lei and felt relieved when he saw that he didn't force himself to get up to help. Xiaoman, kill it with me, Len Ning said in a deep voice, and Len Ning directed Xiaoman to rush towards the zombie king. When he arrived at Lei Ting's side, Xiaoman stretched out a vine to wrap around Lei Ting and took him to a farther open space to avoid accidentally hurting him later. Lei Lei also cooperated very well and continued to absorb the crystal core without any resistance. On Huo Xiao's side, a dozen vines like steel nails came straight towards the door. The familiar scene made him feel scared, but he quickly suppressed the fear and dodged several vines. At the same time, the long sword in his hand struck at the vines, cutting off 5 or 6 vines. Almost at the same time, Len Ning felt Xiaoman's wail coming from the sea of consciousness. Huo Xiao took a look at the vines he had cut off, and found that there were only some burn marks on the broken vines, and there were no changes in other places. He felt disappointed but at the same time felt that this was how it should be. This human woman is really strong. No, it's not that she is strong, it's that her weapons are strong. This vine he had seen when he was a human was very terrifying. The pain did not scare Xiaoman, but stimulated it. Before Len Ning could issue a command, Xiaoman sent out more vines to attack Huo Xiao. Huo Xiao dodged while cutting Xiaoman's vines. After only 5 or 6 minutes, a large number of chopped vines were piled on the ground. Gradually, Xiaoman's attacks were no longer violent and even started to weaken. Len Ning and Xiaoman had the same understanding, knowing that Xiaoman was injured too seriously and might not be able to hold on for long. But she had no choice. If you don't fight, you'll die. If you fight, at least you still have a chance. Huo Xiao soon discovered Xiaoman's situation. A flash of pride flashed in his gloomy eyes. Does it think highly of this human woman? It turns out it's not that strong. Seeing the expression on Huo Xiao's face, Len Ning was extremely angry. Then he took out a bag of crystal nuclei directly from the space ring. Xiaoman shouted. Immediately, a flower bud grew out from in front of Len Ning. Then, the flower buds bloomed, and they looked at Len Ning with a happy face, opening the flower plate as big as a basin, waiting for Len Ning to feed. Len Ning did not hesitate and poured all the crystal cores into the flower plate. She kept pressure on Xiaoman to prevent him from advancing too fast and losing control. But now I can't care so much. What a zombie king, what a peak strength of at least 6th level, as long as she wants, she can drag everyone to hell. A crisp chewing sound soon came out of the flower plate. Then, Xiaoman's flower disk continued to grow, growing toward the sky, and its branches became thicker and longer, turning into a giant piranha flower. Huo Xiao failed to dodge in time, and his body was scratched by several vines from Xiao Man, and a piece of flesh was torn off. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Wood-type superpower who is reborn in the apocalypse. Author, Kiji Now. Chapter 760. After avoiding it, Huo Xiao looked at Len Ning, who was hiding behind the main branch of Xiao Man with an angry look on his face. It's a zombie and can't feel pain. But a piece of meat is missing from its body, which affects its mood. It didn't want to be a zombie king with only skeletons. This human woman and her plant pissed it off. Before Huo Xiao had time to get angry, Xiaoman's huge flower plate had already opened its bloody mouth and rushed towards it. If it were a human being, it would definitely feel the cold wind and fishy smell blowing towards its face. Huo Xiao's expression changed and he flew away. Then, he got into a battle with vines again. But this time there was a huge flower plate that wanted to swallow him. Huo Xiao soon discovered that Xiaoman's combat effectiveness had improved. Although its vines were still vulnerable, its flower disc was able to resist the slashing of his long sword. Avoiding the flower disc's attack again, Huo Xiao increased the output of his thunder power, and his long sword suddenly became extremely long, slashing at the branches under Xiaoman's flower disc. The sharp thunder blade instantly chopped off the flower disc from the branch, and Len Ning instantly felt a shock in the sea of consciousness. After Xiaoman let out a scream, he quickly spoke to Len Ning. "Mom, crystal core, give me the crystal core. It's going to eat this zombie and chew it to pieces." Seeing Huo Xiao raising his sword and striking at her again, Len Ning had lost his reaction. Suddenly, Len Ning's eyes stabbed. "No," roared. Just hearing a scream of "ah," a figure fell from mid-air. Len Ning's body trembled and he quickly directed Xiaoman to catch the figure. Yes, it was thunder that flew out to block the attack for Len Ning. Lei Lei had just restored his spiritual power source, and the thunder and lightning blade he fired was not very strong. After the lightning blade removed part of Huo Xiao's lightning power, Lei Lei was stabbed by Huo Xiao. This knife struck Lei Ting's back, and finally the thunder sword dissipated into his body. Lei Lei felt that his vision was blurred, and death was very close to him. He regretted so much that he couldn't be nicer to Xiao Ning in the past time. "I regret so much why I ordered the elimination of zombies in City B." He finally got together with Xiao Ning. They haven't lived many happy days yet. Is this about to end? At this moment, a lot of memories of him and Len Ning flashed through Lei Lei's mind. Even after he became unconscious, there were still some memories that shouldn't belong to him. In that memory, Xiao Ning was deceived and was held hostage by the zombie king to threaten him. Xiaoman sent thunder to Len Ning. Len Ning's body was trembling, holding Lei Lei's almost split body, shedding tears and unable to say a word. "Mom, give me the crystal core. Quick. If we kill the zombie king, we can still save Dad," Xiaoman said anxiously. "The zombie king may attack them again at any time. Mom can't be messy at this time." Len Ning suddenly woke up and looked at Huo Xiao, who landed not far away. Huo Xiao didn't attack again at this time, but looked at her with a half-smile, as if appreciating her sadness and despair at this moment. There was a chill in Len Ning's eyes, and she silently recited Xiaoman's name in her heart. Before Huo Xiao had time to react, a flower disc grew out from in front of Len Ning. Then, 2 barrels of crystal nuclei appeared in Len Ning's hand. Yes, barreled. The flower pot instantly grew larger, and Len Ning just threw the bucket in his hand into the flower pot. Huo Xiao realized that something was wrong and immediately raised his sword to kill. But it's too late. Xiaoman stretched out a vine to stop it. After it finished dealing with the vines, it found that Xiaoman had grown 5 huge flower discs. Yes, 5. Each flower disc is the same as the one it cut off before. Len Ningxin looked at Huo Xiao coldly, and took out 2 more buckets of crystal nuclei from the space ring. As soon as you throw it with your hand, a flower plate comes up and swallows the crystal core together with the bucket. Then, soon new flower discs will grow. Huo Xiao looked at the scene in front of him and took a step back unconsciously. Len Ning looked straight at it. While staring at it, he continued to take out the crystal core. And it went from barrels to larger containers. After she resigned as commander of the 5th Division, she took over Leng's business again. The large amount of crystal cores that Leng received every day, as well as the large amount of crystal core materials prepared for Xiaoman for the pharmaceutical factory, were all stored in her space ring. Now the total number of crystal nuclei in her space ring is almost the total population of City B 10 years before the apocalypse. She didn't know how many purple and transparent crystal nuclei Huo Xiao, the zombie king, had eaten, but no matter how many they were not as many as what she had in her hand. Her little beast, as long as she is willing to feed it, can swallow endless crystal nuclei. Huo Xiao, you must die today. As Len Ning continued to pour crystal nuclei into the flower pots from buckets, vines, and flower trays began to spread on the ground. Soon, a large number of vines and flower pots appeared in the surrounding zombie tide, and began to attack the zombies. The flower discs and vines are extremely hard, and the zombies' abilities cannot cause damage to them. Only flower pots and vines can attack them. The flower plate was swallowed directly, while the vines wrapped around the zombies and sent the flower plate away. For a moment, there was a chilling sound of chewing all around. Huo Xiao looked around, ready to escape. "Kill it," Len Ning finally said. Immediately, countless flower plates and vines nearby headed towards Huo Xiao. At the same time, Len Ning and Lei Lei were also sent to the ground by the vines. A bed of vines grew on the ground, and the vines slowly placed thunder on top. Len Ning leaned against the bed, holding Lei Ting's hand in both hands, and put his hand on her face. "Brother, wake up!" As he spoke, tears rolled out of his eyes. "Wake up!" 10 minutes later, Huo Xiao was dead, and all the nearby zombies were also dead. The vines and flower trays dispersed, and everything returned to peace. Mom Len Ning suddenly heard a familiar voice. Then, a naked child came next to Len Ning. "Xiaoman." Len Ning was a little surprised, but his expression didn't change. If the voice belongs to Xiaoman, then this child should be Xiaoman. Although I don't know why Xiaoman turned from a plant into a child, Xiaoman himself is a strange existence, isn't he? "Mom, don't worry. I'm here to save Dad." Xiaoman came forward and wiped away the tears from Len Ning's eyes. Len Ning seemed to come to life in an instant. "Quickly get out of the way and let Xiaoman save Lei Ting." Just now, she fed all the crystal nuclei in her space ring to Xiaoman, just to kill Huo Xiao. She didn't believe Xiaoman's words about saving her eldest brother. Just assume that Xiaoman lied for the sake of the crystal core and to protect her. Her eldest brother is dead, and she doesn't want to live anymore. As for whether Xiaoman will escape from her control, or even become a Tianatian swallowing vine that may harm someone in City B, it has nothing to do with her. But in this situation, Xiaoman turned into a human child and said he could cure his elder brother. She felt alive. Xiaoman cut his own wrist and fed Lei Ting a large amount of green blood. After that, Lei Ting actually survived. Otherwise, Lei Lei has the ability to advance directly from the peak of the 5th level to the peak of the 6th level. Of course, this is all for later. The battle in City B is over, and there is no threat around City A. Commander Lei, his wife, and their son lived a happy life. You ask Xiao why? Xiao Huai is not dead and can still talk now. Regarding the alienation of plants, that is another story. End of this article.